If you've ever buckled a seatbelt at 30,000 feet, if you've ever stared out of that tiny window and wondered who's really in control of the skies, it isn't just flight, it's power, it's politics, it's pressure sealed in steel. We're peeling back the clouds from runway risks to sky-high secrets. We're diving deep where most dare not to look. Aviation Scope, every Sunday at 7 p.m. only on Voice of the People TV. We don't just report, we reveal. We don't just ask, we uncover. Because when it comes to the skies, ignorance is turbulence. Aviation Scope, the sky isn't the limit, it's just the beginning.
Asu Rock is a large outcrop of granitic rock located on the outskirts of Abuja, the capital of Nigeria. It's a 400-meter prominent monolith with a peak height of 936 meters above sea level. It's one of the city's most noticeable features. The Nigerian Presidential Complex, Nigerian National Assembly, and Nigerian Supreme Courts are located around it. Much of the city extends to the south of the rock. Aso means victorious in the native language of the Asokoro people, the ethnic group predominant in the area. Asokoro means the people of victory. This was the site of the 2003 Aso Rock Declaration, issued by the heads of government of the Commonwealth of Nations during the CHOGM held in Abuja. It reaffirmed the Commonwealth's principles as detailed under the Harare Declaration, but set the promotion of democracy and development as the organization's priorities. The then President of Nigeria, Ibrahim Babangida administration, founded Aso Villa in 1991, the same year that Nigeria's capital was transferred from Lagos to Abuja, and it is situated on the outskirts of Abuja, Nigeria's capital. The Aso Villa mansion is surrounded by the Nigerian Presidential Complex, the Nigerian National Assembly, and the Nigerian Supreme Court. Much of the town is located to the south of the rocky outcropping. It was also the site of the Aso Rock Declaration, issued by Commonwealth heads of government during the CHOGM in Abuja in 2003. The chapel, cafe, and mosque are all located within the villa complex. There are several rooms for various functions inside the Nigerian Presidential Mansion in Aso Rock. The building houses the offices of the Nigerian President and Vice President, as well as meeting spaces.
VOP TV. Now, you have more than a voice.
In a world where power shapes with every headline.
In a nation full of questions.
In a world filled with noise, the truth needs a voice.
The policies that shapes our world and the economy that determines our future.
Every hour, every day, the grapevine keeps buzzing.
And together, we are committed to telling the stories that shape our world, because your voice is our focus.
Don't forget, our voice matters the most. Let us come together and share our concerns.
This is African News on Voice of the People Television, where we don't just bring you the news, we bring you Africa's heartbeat, the policies that shapes our world, and the economy that determines our future. African News on Voice of the People Television. Stay with us.
In a world where truth is the ultimate power and opinions scream the loudest, it's time to wade through the noise.
Hunger no get tribe! Hunger no get religion!
And scan the human interest and trending topics that matter. Stay tuned to The Issues, your plug to the stories making the buzz, from politics to science and technology, social justice, and more. Let's tackle the tough questions and expose the truth. The Issues, on Voice of the People Television, Mondays to Fridays, 8 to 9 p.m. The Issues. Don't just react, understand. Join us as we drive into the world of politics through insightful interviews with prominent political figures, both serving and former governors, ministers, senators, legislators, party chieftains, activists, and analysts. Get first-hand information into the decision-making processes that affect our daily lives. Highly engaging one-hour program that brings political discourse into focus.
I am Chupuma Okoro.
Political Lens, Monday through Friday, 6 to 7 p.m. Join us.
Whether you've been with us through the ups and downs or just joined us for this festive season,
take a moment to cherish the moments you've made and look forward to making new ones on the horizon.
May this new year bring you everything good, everything prosperous.
As we bid farewell to the old year and welcome you to the new year,
may your heart be filled with joy and your home with laughter. And of course, may your spirit be filled with hope.
We'll be bringing you live updates, exciting performance, and inspiring stories throughout the day.
Stay tuned for our special New Year's coverage and let's make this year unforgettable.
Thank you for making us a part of your celebration.
Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Are you ready for the extraordinary? Something big is happening on your screen. Introducing VOP TV, now streaming on SLTV channel 264. From breaking news to captivating conversations, news analysis, giving you all sides to the story. We break in-depth discussions on the issues that matter, from politics to sports, entertainment, and lifestyle. VOP TV on SLTV channel 264. Join us as we redefine what television means to you. Voice of the People Television, VOP TV. Now you have more than a voice.
It's buzzing.
And together, we are committed to telling the stories that shape our world because your voice is our focus.
Don't forget, our voice matters the most. Let us come together and share our concerns.
What happens in the hush behind hangar doors? Who signs the papers that gamble with lives? Which truths were grounded before they even ever had wings? If you've ever buckled a seatbelt at 30,000 feet, if you've ever stared out of that tiny window and wondered who's really in control of the skies, it isn't just flight, it's power, it's politics, it's pressure sealed in steel. We're peeling back the clouds from runway risks to sky-high secrets. We're diving deep where most dare not to look. Aviation Scope, every Sunday at 7 p.m. only on Voice of the People TV. We don't just report, we reveal. We don't just ask, we uncover. Because when it comes to the skies, ignorance is turbulence. Aviation Scope, the sky isn't the limit, it's just the beginning.
hello Nigeria, a happy new year to you, and it's so good to have you tune in for another exciting episode of the Issues on Voice of the People television, where we bring you the most important and pressing issues shaping our nation today. I am your host, Nenna Ndomdioto. On today's episode of the Issues, we're examining the major events that shaped the nation's political landscape in the year 2025. Join us as we break down the facts and provide context to help you stay informed. We'll take a break, and when we return, we'll dig deeper into these topics. Don't go away. Glad to have you back. Let's dive straight into today's discussion. The year 2025 was indeed a defining year in Nigeria's political landscape. Although not an election year, it was a year that tested Nigeria's democracy. It was a year many would say stretched federal powers, a year where political alliances and affiliations were altered and were realigned. It was a year where many Nigerians began to really fear for the fate of the country's democracy. Tonight, we'll take a critical look at the major political stories that shaped Nigeria in 2025. The year 2025 started with heightened political crisis in Rivers State, with the governor, Simi Fubara, in intense loggerhead with his predecessor, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike. What began as a rift within the state political elites metamorphosed into a bigger crisis as President Tinubu on March 18 declared a state of emergency in the state, leading to the suspension of the governor, his deputy, and members of the State House of Assembly. Tinubu appointed a former Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Ibok Ete Ibas, retired, as the Minister of the State for 6 months. A move many described as a breach of democratic rules. Another major development that unfolded is the gale of defection to the ruling All Progressive Congress. The ruling party tightened its grip through defections, which has raised concerns of the party's attempt to push the nation into a one-party system ahead of the 2027 elections. Several state governors elected on the platform of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, defected to the APC, alongside numerous federal and state lawmakers and other political figures. The governors who defected include Delta State Governor Sheriff Oborowari, Rivers State Governor Similayi Fubara, Akwa Ibom State Governor Umo Eno, Enugu State Governor Peter Mba, Bayelsa State Governor Doye Diri, and Taraba State Governor Abu Kefes. All through the year, the main opposition party, the People's Democratic Party, got weaker with severe internal crisis, primarily a power struggle between rival factions. In the midst of this crisis, the party held an Ibadan convention, which produced a new national chairman, Taminu Turaki, a move that has been termed illegal by the pro-Wike faction. At the heart of the crisis is Nyesom Wike, who continues to wield his power on the party, but also continues to galvanize with the ruling party. This crisis also led to deep-seated issues arising between Wike and his former allies, Sheyi Makinde and Bala Muhammad. In a bid to position as a strong opposition and effectively challenge the ruling All Progressive Congress, opposition politicians formed a coalition that eventually fused into the African Democratic Congress, ADC. ADC has many prominent individuals in its fold, such as Atiku Abubakar, Rotimi Amechi, Nasir El-Rufai, David Mark, and Abubakar Malami. The party also recently welcomed Peter Obi and many prominent leaders from the southeast, including Eninaya Abaribe. In 2025, there was a coup scare. Reports emerged that security agencies had arrested at least 16 military officers accused of plotting to overthrow President Tinubu and end Nigeria's 26-year uninterrupted civilian rule. Although the federal government did not officially confirm the plot, the ripples it created were profound. Another major political development in 2025 was the 6-month suspension of the lawmaker representing Kogi Central Senatorial District, Senator Natasha Akpoti Udoa, by the Senate. The senator was suspended over her dispute with the Senate President, Senator Godswill Akpabio, following her alleged violation of the Senate's rules. She had also accused Akpabio of sexual harassment. 2025 also saw the emergence of Professor Joash Amopiton as the new chairman of the INEC, following the expiration of the tenure of the former chairman of INEC, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu. These political events shapes the year 2025, and Nigerians are waiting to see how the new year unfolds. Meanwhile, the new year has started with surprises, as the Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, has announced that he'll be dropping the 9 defamation cases he has in court, including that of Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan. The Senate President said this move was initiated by a sermon preached by his priest on New Year's Day. This seems to be a move towards reconciliation and forgiveness, which sets a good tone for the new year. We'll take a break now, and when we return, we'll bring you our guest, and of course, we'll continue the story from there. Glad to have you back. Here in the studio, we have Elvis Elimi-Hele, a public affairs analyst who would get to help us dissect all the issues that had, come into play in 2025. Glad to have you join us.
Thank you, Nena. Happy New Year, 2026. We are back to the job.
Yes, so we are back, and we are back for good.
Yes.
So first, you heard me when I read out all these stories. Yeah. But before we go into the stories, I would want to ask, how would you describe the political landscape in 2025? And for you, which events really would you say actually shaped 2025?
Yeah, 2025 political event in Nigeria was that of mixed feelings. Because we saw what the last time we had emergency rule regime in Nigeria was during former President Olusegun Obasanjo's time. We had it in Jonathan's time, but in Jonathan, the governor was not removed. It was only the legislative arm that was suspended and that was as a result of the insecurity in the Northeast. But this one was as a result of political misunderstandings headlong between political godfather and the political godson. Wike as the godfather in this case, and his godson, Fubara, similarly Fubara, the sitting governor of Rivers State. That was a very big matter in this nation because at the moment, nobody should be encouraging a political godfather. By the time you come in as governor or even president, you finish your tenure, leave that seat for the next person that is coming in, voted in by the people, to do his own bidding for the people. But unfortunately, in Nigeria, we still see that when the governors are leaving, they tell you they want to go and bring somebody that will be a stooge to them. But I think Wike was disappointed that all he wanted Fubara to do, Fubara shifted, and Wike kept telling Nigerians that there was an agreement. I don't know the agreement that a governor that is leaving will be handing over to the one that is coming in. The agreement Fubara have with the people of Rivers State is to give them the dividend of democracy. That's the agreement, and that was voted for to come and actually give to his people. But we kept talking about agreement, and the agreement, got to the extent that even the House of Assembly wanted to impeach Fubara, and you know what happened? The State House of Assembly was burnt down, and when they were not having a sitting hollow chambers any longer, so they started using their legislative quarters, and before you know what was happening, they themselves told Nigerians that they have defected to APC, but when the case became an issue, they reversed and said they never defected. So there were too many imbroglio that even snowballed into. Some people now started saying, "Oh, there's attack. They want to attack the oil pipeline." That was actually what now brought in the emergency rule. So the president was like, "No, there must not be an economic saboteur to the Federal Republic of Nigeria because of the political crisis in Rivers State." Before we knew what was happening, the president declared state of emergency in March 18th, 2025, and Fubara was removed from the office. And he also suspended the House of Assembly, and even the deputy governor to Fubara too was also part of those that the emergency regime actually affected. He brought in his friend, which we actually understand that at least he has a close relationship with the president and Wike, as the former chief of naval staff, Ibokete, who stayed in the next 6 months. That was a very big challenge to democracy in this nation, Nena, because the president fought the military when he said he was a member of the NADECO, that the military must go. The president fought for June 12 when the military annulled the June 12. But we're not surprised that this man who has told Nigerians that he's a Democrat over the years, and he became the president of Nigeria in 2023. By 2025, this same president now came in and brought emergency rule to one of the 36 states of this nation. As if that was not enough, Nena, he brought in a former military officer. The same military he pretended during his days as one of NADECO leaders, and during his days that he was saying June 12 must stay, the annulment of June 12 must be reversed. He now brought in a military officer to now head one of these 36 states he had as president of this nation. That was an aberration to democracy. That actually speaks volume to the democratic system we pretend to be practicing under this leadership of President Ahmed Tinubu and APC as the political party in power. It was a big challenge, and we pray that such will not repeat itself again, even though they went to court. Court has finally gave judgment on that recently, but we are seeing that like an academic exercise because the emergency regime has come and gone before even the court now made their pronouncement on it. So we don't want to hear of such, and such must not be encouraged. Because by the time you vote in a governor, that governor has a mandate of 4 years. Let him do his own 4 years. If he's not doing well, it didn't meet the needs of the people, the requirement of the people. It is the people that will vote him out in the next 4 years. Not there is a godfather somewhere because he's close to the seat of government. He now use his office to now embarrass, intimidate, and humiliate the people of Rivers State. Let's leave Fubara out of this matter, Nena. Anybody can occupy the office of the governor of Rivers State. So Fubara was just opportune to be the person that was there at this moment. That office of the governor of Rivers State, the governorship office of Rivers State, belongs to the river people, not Fubara, not Wike. Therefore, whatever happened to that office is a slap on the people of Rivers who voted Fubara to be their governor in the next 4 years. So Wike and the sitting president stepped on the toes of Rivers people. But thank God they were able to bear it. They allowed us 6 months to stay, and the man came and went. Today we have Fubara back. So whatever is building up now, Rivers people must not allow what happened in 2025 to repeat itself again in 2026. So the Rivers people must watch out, because this is 2026. This is the political atmosphere is getting thickened. We are moving closer to 2027. So Fubara must be allowed to do his 4 years and give the Rivers people the dividend of democracy, which outrightly belongs to them. That is the purpose of bringing him into power, to give the people the democratic dividend, not truncating his leadership, his administration at Intava. So what happened in 2025 must not be allowed to repeat itself. in 2026.
Okay.
No matter what, no matter the visitation Wike is doing around now, you know, the local government, Rivers people must check him. They own this democracy and not Wike.
Okay, let's just stay a bit on the Rivers State politics. So you know that, of course, the governor actually defected some weeks ago, or less than a month ago, if I could say. And one of the things that Wike said, you know, we saw how would I put it, like a counter statement or counter attack, or an attack rather on this person. By Wike was saying that the fact that he actually, okay, when he defected, I think some days later he said he was the 001 or 001. Then Wike came out to say no, there's nothing like that. You're not, you know, Wike came and said he was not. The fact that he actually defected holds no water, in the sense that will not guarantee him a second term and all of that, and that his defection is not even strong enough for it to be applauded. Because of course, if a governor sometimes is defecting, he's supposed to defect with some lawmakers as a substate of our House of Assembly members. But in this case, they had actually defected even before the governor. So it looked like the governor's own was, I had to do this before these people remove me. So, but do you think that come the next election for Rivers State, if Governor Fubara would actually have a chance, now that he's even in the APC?
Thank you. You see, what is going on in Rivers must be something that every EDG of Rivers State must stand their ground. Wike cannot be dictating to the Rivers people. Fubara has defected. Now he's now in APC. If Fubara says he's 001, he's talking of being 001 in APC. APC constitution says that the governor of the state is the leader of that state. It has happened in Delta. As we speak, Rivers left, Delta left PDP for APC. Oborowere is now the leader. The same thing in Anambra, in Enugu, and all of that. So why will Rivers State or Fubara will now become an issue? That you will not, because you are, remember that all these states where it happens, they also have ministers in Abuja, just the same way Fubara, Wike is a minister to Rivers in Abuja. They are not mending into the affairs of what is going on in their state. One of the most powerful minister also in this cabinet is Festus Keyamo. Festus Keyamo, the aviation minister, is from Delta State. But look at the way he rallied around Oborowere that day and said, yes, Oborowere is now our leader. Even though we have the former deputy Senate president from...
I've forgotten his name.
Yes, from Delta State, who have always been in this party, APC, who has also contested with Oborowere in 2023 election. You remember? But they rallied around Oborowere and said, you are now our leader. Why is Wike not doing that? Why is Wike coming up with his ego, so stingy and so selfish, and using the House of Assembly to now begin to intimidate the sitting governor, who the people said, this is our governor? They must check it and they must not allow it to stay. Therefore, in one of the local governments he visited today, he has started mentioning that Fubara is not fit enough to come for a second tenure. Is Wike the person that will be dictating for people, Rivers State people? Rivers State people must now put him behind him. We have had governors in that state since 1999. How many of them? Odili came in. When Odili was leaving, Amechi came in. Amechi left. And when Amechi left, he came in. And Amechi never visited Rivers because to come and disturb his government. Odili never disturbed Amechi's government. Why will he be disturbing the governor, the sitting governor of Rivers State, and distracting the governor from giving the people the dividend of democracy, which the people so need? Therefore, this new one that is about to come up in 2026 must be checked. Rivers must not be set back again in 2026. And the president this time around, Nena, must not play the ostrich. Because this time, the president is the leader of APC. And Fubara is APC. He must now bring all his children, political children, under his party together and say, come, Rivers must not go through what he went last time. Last time, PDP, Fubara was still in PDP, and we see the leg of Wike in APC and PDP. But today, Wike does not belong to any political party, as we speak. PDP has expelled him, and he has not told Nigeria that he's in APC. So he can't sit at the fence, and be throwing tantrum into the leadership of headed by Fubara in Rivers State to destabilize his government. Rivers people must check him and they must watch him. So all these recent, cooked up visiting the local governments now that he just came up with because Fubara has defected, and he announced that Fubara is now having a direct relationship with the presidency and all that. Then he hurriedly went and said he's now visiting local government. Who is he talking of visiting local government to thank local government for an election that came 2.5 years ago, 2023 election is now 2 years, 6 months. They've stayed in the power. He's now doing a gang up local government visit to thank them. Something is already brewing in the office. The people must check it. Then the secretary to the local to APC was in Rivers, and he gave a clean bill to Fubara and said Fubara can go on in 2027 because he was invited to come and commission some project. And when during the commission, he made the categorical statement that Fubara is doing well and he's deserved to be returned back in 2027. Is that what now hurriedly made Wike to run out of Abuja and went to Rivers State and start doing a thank you, appreciation, a visit to all the local government? So all these ones must be checked in 2026, Nina.
Okay, thank you. You really dissected the Rivers State political crisis and everything happening in Rivers State. Let's move on to this fear that Nigerians have. The gale of defections has actually, created fear among Nigerians. Some persons feel that Nigeria is gradually getting into the point where we now become a one-state. We will now have a one-party system, and nobody wants that. Many people don't. That's not even good for democracy. And some persons have also accused APC of using either money or threat to get these governors to come in. And we saw recently Bala Mohammed actually testify to this, because I think I watched a televised interview some days ago where Felix Moka, that's the PRO for APC, was saying that nobody has evidence to this. That if you don't have evidence, that means it's not true. That everybody who is defecting of their own will. But we've seen how things have played out over the year, especially in 2025. And now Bala Mohammed actually came just a few days ago to say, this is what is happening. We are being threatened to get into, a lot of that. So what do you make of all this? Can you just speak a bit about that?
Yeah, Nana, as far as this defection is concerned, it doesn't give me any sleepless nights. If ADC and other political parties are able to put their house in order before the 2027 general election, Nana, this defection is null and void. The election is going to be between the people and APC. And if the people sees a better political structure, platform to say no, enough of APC, all this defection and even the governor may lose their seat. Two things are here. We will have to have a credible electoral reform that will make you and I, our vote counts. If our vote counts, credibility is brought into the electoral system of Nigeria. We have free and fair election. And we have a better opposition party, like ADC is coming up now, and some other ones comes up. Nigeria will have other political platform to say no, enough of this ruling party. So all this defection will become null and void. So the election of 2027 is actually between APC and Nigerians. But what we are looking at is that let the politicians in ADC not use greed and selfishness to spoil what Nigerians are looking forward in ADC, coming to be like probably the rescued mission that Nigeria is going to get in 2027. If they don't use greed to spoil their primaries, get that word, their primaries, if they can elect the person that Nigerians will say, okay, this is fit enough to lead us, all these governors that are defecting, they may even lose their seats. And that will be coupled with if we have a better electoral reform that will give your vote and my vote the credibility is so desired and so deserved. Then you'll just discover that the ruling party will be rubbished because you and I are not happy with the ruling party. We've seen what we've gone through for the past 2.5 years of this present administration. We saw the 8 years of Buhari, complete monumental failure. Well, what has APC given Nigeria that Nigeria should celebrate APC in 2027 if actually we have a credible opposition to say, okay, we want to use to challenge them? It will become null and void. The ruling party might just see themselves crashing out of power.
Okay, I'm talking about opposition. You just brought us to one of the next major events that happened, which is the coalition. And
yes.
you mentioned it and you said if they don't allow greed come
Yes,
into
yes,
play.
yes.
And we know that there are factions in ADC at the moment. There was a faction that actually said yesterday that they are rejecting, what's his name, Peter Obi. They're rejecting Peter Obi, you know, and it's just funny because a house that is not I'm trying to get the
Divided
right
against itself.
exactly. A house that is divided against itself will not stand. So if ADC cannot put their acts together and now they're having different factions, and some person would actually say it's the APC that is, do you think it's actually the APC that is, you know, that is stoking this fire, or is it their personal greed and differences?
You just said it. That's what I've just said earlier. If they remove greed and be transparent in their primaries and pick the person that Nigerians can say, oh, we can vote for this person, how this person can deliver, all this will go. But the issue is, do Nigerian politicians learn lessons? Do Nigerian politicians actually want the system to change? If the system so change, it will not favor them. They also just want to have it as an avenue to line up their pocket because of their selfishness and their greed. Why will ADC at this teething stage be talking of they are having issues? They are not supposed to have issues at this teething stage. Nigerians are looking at them, how they are going to be able to galvanize Nigerians and be able to say, okay, we are actually a credible opposition to the ruling party. So they must, whether there is a mole from APC, you know, trying to scatter them, they should watch it. If really they know what the reason for their coalition, the reason for their gathering, they should be able to check whatever external aggression or even within that will scatter their plans. That's why we keep saying, what is their ideology that is bringing all these ones together? The ideology is based on what we have already so known over the years, stinginess and selfishness of Nigerian politicians. You know, it must be me, it must be I, me, myself, and me. It will also crash. But if they can manage that one up and say, no, we actually want a coalition. We saw the coalition that took place in 2014 that brought APC. Yeah, there were some other issues in APC then, but they managed it and removed former President Goodluck Jonathan. Why can't ADC, wherever it's coming from now, shown this selfish attitude, shown this it must be me, shown this you know, getting external aggression to come and scatter it if I cannot get it, that man must be checked by them. So whoever is coming now, let that person be welcome. Let there be a formal agreement, proper alignment of this is what we are going for. This is why we are coming together. Because Nigerians are not happy with the ruling party. Nigerians want a rescue party that can rescue us. And are we better fit into that position? If they fit into that position, no matter where this crisis is coming from internally, they should be able to check it, because Nigeria is looking for where they can have a better umbrella, a better rescue, a better canopy to take them out of this strangulation of APC for this 10 and a half years that we have had APC. I'm not just talking of Tinubu's regime, I'm talking of since Buhari. You have 8 years of Buhari, nothing was registered, nothing Nigeria recorded. He said he came on the mantra of fighting corruption, insecurity, and economy. And you know, Buhari plunged Nigeria to become the poverty capital of the world, which means in the economy he failed. The insecurity we saw during Buhari's regime, banditry came into this nation. There was no banditry before Buhari came in 2014, 2015. We only battling with Boko Haram. Then, before he left office, we now have bandits that Nigeria can no longer sleep, Nigeria can no longer travel. Even in your own home, they now come and burn you alive, burn people alive, and burn innocent Nigerians alive. He brought that one in. Corruption. You will agree with me now. How many of his ministers are before the EFCC now? No matter what Nigerians are saying, oh, it's because some of them defected or whatever. If you don't have skeleton in your cupboard, Nena, and you come out clean. So Buhari's ministers now, we have seen the number in Gege is there. This Malami, even his minister for Attorney General, Minister for Justice and Attorney General, is the latest one now. We saw in Gege just last week. We saw his the Minister for Humanitarian Affairs, Farouk Sadia. We saw her. We saw Hadis Rika. These are Buhari's minister. We saw Emefiele, who was Buhari's Central Bank governor, with monumental fraud EFCC is battling with. So in all the mantra he came for with in 2015, he failed in all. So Buhari was a failure. Now, Tinubu has started on the same trajectory when he told Nigeria that he was going to continue from where Buhari stopped. That's what Nigerians are battling now. We just finished the Yuletide. Nigerians barely managed to feed their family these days. So we don't want any crisis in any of the opposition party now that's trying to come in to rescue Nigeria, they should put their house in order, because we want a better platform in 2027 to be able to say, okay, let us vote and unseat this present ruling party if we are not comfortable, since we are saying we are not comfortable with them. But this must come with electoral reform, one, because the electoral reform of 2023 cannot give us a credible election in 2027. Then, two, the politicians in all whatever opposition party must put their house in order and shun greed and selfishness.
Okay, thank you. Wow, that's a very passionate response. Okay, you know, one of the things that also, one of the events that occurred in 2025 was the school scare. And yes, and that was very, very profound, because some persons, though the federal government never actually come out to say, yes, there was a coup or there was a coup attempt, but we saw some of their actions and Nigerians felt, okay, this is actually, the reports were actually true. And you know, you will also even look at the way the way and manner that the president responded to what happened in Benin Republic. Probably it was just as a result of, you know, he didn't want to say and he remembers there was, you know, I'm just saying. But can you just speak to this
Nena, let's first of all establish and agree that military regime in Nigeria or in any part of the Africa or in the world is an aberration. We must not encourage it. Nobody must encourage it, because we are able to speak now, because we have democracy. I was a student in 1993, 94, 95, when we had the issue of June 12 annulment, and I know what we went through as student leaders then in Nigeria. But today, we cannot speak to issues, even though our politicians are not, they don't want to respond to some of what we say, but we continue to talk. But when that coup scare came, September ending, it was, that news was brokered by Sahara reporters, though. So they said there was not going to be the celebration of the Independence Day, because the coup was initially planned to be hashed on Independence Day. We also saw the president actually was in Lagos during that Independence Day celebration. Then we also saw that immediately that matter came out, they said 16 military officers have been picked up, and we saw how the president actually now removed all the service chief and brought in some new ones. So all this one now began to give Nigerians that actually this coup must be truth. But even though the federal government has said there was nothing like that, even the military too is denied. They have not made a categorical statement. But we also saw that Timi Presiva was declared wanted, the former governor of Bayelsa State and the former minister for petroleum under Buhari's regime, that he was part of those ones that probably the financiers of the coup. Today he's still abroad, he has not come back. The Nigeria government is still waiting for him. He has told the Nigeria government that he's on a medical trip abroad. So we are waiting. So more of that, Nena, that story, you know, is still hanging, still a developing story, because you can't arrest military officers and declare somebody that's wanted and tell Nigerians that we don't want to, we will not see the end of it. We want to see the end of it. So if actually there was a coup scare in Nigeria, let it be that everybody that is involved in that coup are brought to book and tried. Nigeria will also hear the end result of that matter. That would be a good one. Then you made mention of ECOWAS. ECOWAS on its own, as far as I'm concerned, have failed in their responsibilities. You don't allow an issue to become a problem before you start addressing it. You know, that's why they say a stitch in time saves 9. ECOWAS should be able to talk to the various presidents in their fold. The people the coup comes as a result of failure of governance in most of these ECOWAS countries. When Niger happened, I was in the studio. I told the presenter, I said, more will come. We had Guinea, came up. We had Gabon. Gabon is the latest one now. Then before this Republic of Benin, that was quashed by that day by the Nigeria government. What are they telling themselves in the ECOWAS meeting? When the people are dissatisfied with the leadership that they voted for, things of this nature will always happen, because there are cracks. It is not for you to declare, deploy Nigerian armed forces that day. We saw Nigeria Air Force on air, that it must not work. If you address this issue, ab initio, coup will not come. If the government of the people are happy with their government, they will not remember to, even when the overzealous military want to talk of coup, the people will even join the leadership of the country to quash it. But a situation where you see that most of the coup that happen, the people go to the street and be celebrating that they now have coup. We have seen Burkina Faso, we've seen Mali, we've seen Niger Republic, we've seen Guinea, we've seen the one that almost happened now in Benin Republic. We saw Gabon. People they are happy. That means something is wrong somewhere. The ECOWAS body is not telling themselves the truth. They must not be talking of coming up with an ECOWAS armed forces to quash a coup when it comes up in any of these ECOWAS countries. But they should be talking of give the people the dividend of democracy. This tight syndrome in ECOWAS that the ECOWAS is not addressing, that by the time you come into power, you're supposed to do 2 tenures. Before the end of your 2 tenures, you now change the constitution for you to remain in power. Like what just happened in Cote d'Ivoire. That Alassane Ouattara has just been sworn in again for 4th tenure. The same problem that came during Gbagbo's regime that almost brought civil war to that country. Why is ECOWAS leadership encouraging all this? Settle these things. Let the people hear that at least you are dealing with them before it becomes problem. Not that when it now becomes problem, you now come out and say that country is suspended. You are not coming up with ECOWAS armed forces to now begin to checkmate other ECOWAS countries. The people owns the democracy. If they are not satisfied with it, and people said, no, we are going to revolt, the people will revolt. So the military will cash in on that and say, no, this is the time for us to strike. ECOWAS must talk to themselves. Leadership of ECOWAS must talk to themselves and put their house in order.
Okay, let's look at the suspension of the lawmaker, of course, Senator Natasha Akpotudwan. And of course, just yesterday, the new year, we heard our Senate president say that he has decided to withdraw all cases. He said to withdraw all cases, all the 9 files he has. And these cases, of course, Senator Odwan's case is one of it. Defamation cases is one of it. And, you know, according to him, he said he had a sermon by his priest. I was going to say by his president, by his priest. Yes. And that moved him to doing this. So, you know, that back and forth with Natasha was, many Nigerians actually frowned at it. Some persons said it was not, some persons even called for him to step aside for a while, but we didn't see that happen. And of course, we knew how it ended.
Yeah, Nena, let me thank the Senate president for saying that he has dropped all the defamation charges he has for some other persons that he felt they defamed him. But let's look at what led to all this, Nena. That was the homily that was preached by Reverend Father Donato Sudoete, the Reverend Father in charge of Holy Trinity, Sacred Heart Catholic Church, Aka in Akwa Ibom State, where he worshipped during the New Year. He was quick to come up when the Reverend Father was talking about forgiveness and putting those things behind us. We are in the New Year. He came up and said, okay, the 9 defamatory cases he has, towards some people who defamed him, he has dropped it. Yes, it's a good one. But he's not just dropping it. Some of them are also like, he also stepped on some people's toe. What happened between him and Senator Natasha Akpoti was just a matter of ego. The Senate president, in the whole of that 109 senators, they all came from different constituencies. They all have equal rights. You becoming the Senate president is just first among equal. They just want somebody that will just say, okay, you will be our leader. Every other person there can be Senate president because they have the same paraphernalia that brought them into that hallowed chamber. So, but when you now sit as one of the presiding officers in the Senate and you are now using your office now, to now like bully others, the senators must not allow that. But unfortunately, we saw the way all that transpired in the Senate, that almost everybody was against Senator Natasha Akpoti. But she stood her ground and said, no, it must not work. So we saw that a kind of a panel, kangaroo panel was set up, and the next thing that came out of that kangaroo panel was that she was suspended for the next 6 months. Yes, but her people were with her, with all the gangsterism that came up, with all the Nigerians abracadabra. The more you look, the less you see. And they say, oh, they were calling, they want to recall her before formulating signatures and all that. That was made on 2 attempts on her, and it all failed, which means her people like her. If the people that gave her senator said, this is our senator, why will the same senators who she has the same equal right now come and suspend her, denied her constituency of that leadership for a whole 6 months? I think that the court and Nigerians must condemn that. The court must make a pronouncement on that. Do they have that power to just suspend the same person that have the same equal right with you for 6 months? Remember, it is not Senator Natasha you suspended. She's just the person that represents that Kogi Central senatorial seat at that moment. Somebody else could have been there. You suspended the whole of that senatorial constituency she represents at that 6 months. So the people of that senatorial constituency even ought to have filed a case against this matter because they were denied leadership for that 6 months. So now he has suddenly become a born again, in the new year and say he's dropping all the charges. He should also know too well that he stepped on toes. The same way he felt people step on his toes that made him to go to court, he also stepped on toes. So if he has become a repentant person, he should repent genuinely and even come and make apology. If not for any other thing, that senatorial seat of the senatorial constituent of Apapio, Natasha, that was denied leadership for 6 months, he should also use this magnanimity of his dropping all the charges now to also tell those people that I'm sorry for the leadership I denied you people for 6 months when your representative was actually suspended from the House of Assembly, Senate, to make laws. So that will now begin to make Nigerians to know that, okay, it's actually talking of repentance, and that repentance, every other person that were in that panel that came up with that kangaroo judgment that Natasha must go for 6 months, they should all follow the same line. They should be able to, when the Senate resumes, they should tender apology to Nigerians and tender all of them, because it's not just the one, that singular statement. It's a good one. You have started from somewhere, but you should complete it.
Okay, for you, would you say that 2025, was it more about governance, about political positioning ahead of 2027?
We have seen them campaigning. What is the governance? Well, the only thing we hear about Nigeria governance is we are going to see more taxation in 2026. That's one of the things where they were using to threaten us, and we have just entered the 2026. Then the only thing that followed it, we saw that the 47 kilometers of Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway was commissioned 3 times. 3 times, as we speak, only 47 kilometers out of 700 kilometers. And we have seen commissioning of that 47 kilometers 3 times. So where is the governance? If there was governance, Nena, the U.S. President, Donald Trump, and the U.S. Congress won't have been mediating in Nigeria's affair because of insecurity. You know the number of Nigerians that died in 2025? So governance was lacking. So there were so much lacuna that to the extent that it has to be noticed that there was almost like a fake government in Nigeria. That today, America has started coming in. Nigerians are praying that America should do more in 2026. So the governance, was not there for Nigerians in 2025, Nena.
Okay, we had a new INEC chairman. That was another thing that marked, another very major event that marked our political space in 2025. We had a new INEC chairman, and even though some persons would say that after the past INEC chairman was taken, or rather, when he was, of course, he had actually finished his tenure. Yeah, though it looked like he was asked to leave just earlier than a few weeks or a month before. And then we had May, that's the lady who was, or the woman who was like the most senior officer in the INEC. We had her take over for a while. And then before we could say Jack Robinson, we had a new INEC chairman, Joash Amopiton. And he came with different, some people dug out some things in his past. And then one of the things that was dug out was what he wrote about Christian genocide many years ago. And again, I thought before he was actually appointed as INEC chairman, while he was still undergoing confirmation, one of the things that came out at some point was that he was part of those who was the lawyer who was in the panel of lawyers, or for lack of a better word, panel of legal officers, legal panel for the president, and he actually denied it, and he said this is not so. And of course, people are saying, we are hoping, or Nigerians are hoping, that the INEC chairman would do Nigeria well, or would do the right thing when it comes by 2027. And we saw an election that was held in Anambra, though some persons would say that election was the blueprint had already been drawn even before he came into office. So that's not like, that would not be used to test his integrity or how capable he is in this office. So can you just speak a bit about that before we round off?
Yeah, we saw the change that came into INEC in this last year, 2025. Nigerians were expecting it, even if it came very late. At the time we saw the 2023 election, and Mahmoud Yakub, former INEC chairman, Mahmoud Yakub told Nigerians that there was a glitch. That was the time the Nigerians were actually like, this man should take a bow and go. But the president kept him because at least he was able to bring him into power, with all the glitches that he said that he eventually announced to Nigerians 3 a.m. in the midnight that Ahmed Tinubu, His Excellency, has won the presidency of this nation. But that is not even the issue. The issue is that now we have a new INEC chairman. The greatest challenge before him is to sanitize INEC, bring integrity into the electoral system of this nation. That's what we are looking at. Like you just made mention of Anambra election. All the characteristics that have been benefiting Nigeria election also played out in Anambra election. We saw vote buying and all that. Now we are gradually going into the electoral year, which is the 2027. In fact, this 2026 is like go before, which is like John the Baptist before Jesus Christ came. So 2026 is the John the Baptist for Nigeria for 2027 general election. We want to see more plans, more policies that INEC is going to tell us that this is what we're going to change in 2027 general election. This is where we're coming from. We don't want to hear glitch. We don't want to hear that they told us that election was going to be transmitted electronically in 2023. At the end of the day, they now said, no, we went to court. Judiciary supported them and said INEC has the prerogative to determine the modus and operandi of a collation of election result. No. Now we are going to 2027. Tell Nigerians, is it going to be manually collated or is it going to be electronically transmitted from ward to local government to state and to the national to the headquarters? Then we will hear results. As we see in other civilized countries, Ghana just conducted election. Nobody went to court. We must not allow Joash Amepiton's administration as the INEC chairman to also be like what happened in Mahmoud Yakub, that only 4, 5, or 6 judges now determine who becomes the leader of this nation. When over 220 million Nigerians, wanted a leader and they go to pool to vote. But at the end of the day, the voting will become null and void. Only 5 or 6 persons now determine who now become the leaders of that nation. He must not continue in Josh Amopiton's regime. We must tell him to sanitize and give us the policies and strategy that he's going to use for a credible 2027 general election while we are waiting, because this is the year we want to know that before the election comes.
Thank you very, very much, Mr. Elvis, for being with us, and of course, for your analysis, in-depth and intelligent analysis as usual. That's all we have for today's episode of The Issues. We looked at the major events in Nigeria's political landscape in 2025. Join us on Monday as we take a look at the major events in the nation's security in 2025. Thank you for being a part of this. Don't forget to tune in next time for more in-depth analysis and discussion. Follow us on social media to stay up to date on the latest news and insight. Until next time, stay informed. I am Nenna Ndomdioto. This has been The Issues on Voice of the People Television, where the future faces forward. Please don't forget to stay tuned for Hashtag with Vivian and Ikechukwu by 8 p.m. Don't go away.
In a world where truth is the ultimate power and opinions scream the loudest, it's time to wade through the noise.
Hunger no get tribe! Hunger no get religion!
And scan the human interest and trending topics that matter. Stay tuned to The Issues, your plug to the stories making the buzz, from politics to science and technology, social justice, and more. Let's tackle the tough questions and expose the truth. The Issues on Voice of the People Television, Mondays to Fridays, 8 to 9 p.m. The Issues.